Welcome. I'm Matthew Phelps, co-author of the Turning to God's Word Bible study, The Letter to the Hebrews, an explanation of the mechanism of our salvation. Today we'll be talking about lesson 22 of our study, which covers the Book of Ezra, chapter 7, verses 1 through 26. This is the fourth part in our series exploring the Old Testament foundations of the priesthood. Today we will be talking about Ezra the priest scribe, who leads the return from captivity in Babylon. Now, after this, in the reign of Artaxerxes, king of Persia, Ezra the son of Seraiah, the son of Azariah, son of Hilkiah, son of Shallum, son of Zadok, son of Ahitub, son of Amariah, son of Azariah, son of Meraioth, son of Zechariah, son of Uzzi, son of Buki, son of Abishua, son of Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron the chief priest. This Ezra went up from Babylonia. He was a scribe skilled in the law of Moses, which the Lord, the God of Israel, had given, and the king granted him all that he asked, for the hand of the Lord his God was upon him. Several important things as we set the scene. When were the Israelites, or more specifically the people of Judah, in the captivity in the land of Babylon? We saw in our previous lesson the establishment of the kingdom by David and a new tiering of the rulership of society, starting with the king, and then the priests, and then the Levites, and then the people. Before that we had the priests and then the Levites and the people. So we've had a couple of different tiers. Now that the people have gone into exile and are serving under the king of another land, they don't have a king. So the old form under David, even as they return to the promised land, is not going to be applicable. Also, although there are priests and Levites still, a new class has emerged in captivity. There have been, without the temple and the Jewish leadership or the Israelite leadership able to persist in the way that it has been persisting, there is a need for some adaptation in order to preserve the laws and the traditions of the people in captivity. And from that emerged a class of scribes, a group of people who dedicated themselves to the study and the learning of the law, specifically with the intention of figuring out why is it that God is punishing us and what can we do to get back in his good graces. And from that, a class who could read and write and who were experts in the law emerged. People, lawyers, essentially, in today's society. And of course, we all know lawyers can very easily become politicians under the right circumstances. So Ezra is one of these scribes. He is also a priest in the line of Aaron. So he is a very well-connected guy. And he has made friends with the captors of the Jews and has arranged for them to be released and sent. Anybody who wants to can go back. So this is a guy doing something very impressive. He's leading the people back home after having been in captivity. And he's not a king. He is a priest and he is a scribe. So we can suspect or expect that his return will lead to some widespread changes in the social structure of this people. That and the fact that they're still technically serving under a foreign power. So let's see what happens. And there went up also to Jerusalem in the 7th year of Artaxerxes the king some of the sons of Israel, and some of the priests and Levites, the singers and gatekeepers, and the temple servants. And he came to Jerusalem in the 5th month, which was in the 7th year of the king. And on the 1st day of the 1st month he began to go up from Babylonia. And on the 1st day of the 5th month he came to Jerusalem, for the good hand of his God was upon him. For Ezra had set his heart to study the law of the Lord, and to do it, and to teach his statutes and ordinances in Israel. So Ezra returned, and he also brought many people who served the Lord, as long as Israelites, along with him. So he has a whole posse, among them people who would be equipped or prepared to take on leadership roles, and also other people in addition. He's leading the people home. This is a copy of the letter which King Artaxerxes gave to Ezra the priest, the scribe learned in matters of the commandments of the Lord and his statutes for Israel. Artaxerxes, king of kings, to Ezra the priest, the scribe of the law of the God of heaven. And now I make a decree that any one of the sons of Israel, or their priests or Levites in my kingdom, who freely offers to go to Jerusalem, may go with you. For you are sent by the king and his 7 counselors to make inquiries about Judah and Jerusalem, according to the law of your God, which is in your hand, and also to convey the silver and gold which the king and his counselors have freely offered to the God of Israel, whose dwelling is in Jerusalem, with all the silver and gold which you shall find in the whole province of Babylonia, and with the freewill offerings of the people and the priests, vowed willingly for the house of their God which is in Jerusalem. With this money, then, you shall with all diligence buy bulls, rams, and lambs, with their cereal offerings and their drink offerings, and you shall offer them upon the altar of the house of your God which is in Jerusalem. Whatever seems good to you and your brethren to do with the rest of the silver and gold, you may do, according to the will of your God. The vessels that have been given you for the service of the house of your God, you shall deliver before the God of Jerusalem. And whatever else is required for the house of your God, which you have occasion to provide, you may provide it out of the king's treasury. And I, Artaxerxes the king, make a decree to all the treasurers in the province beyond the river, whatever Ezra the priest, the scribe of the law of the God of heaven, requires of you, be it done with diligence, up to 100 talents of silver, 100 cores of wheat, 100 baths of wine, 100 baths of oil, and salt without prescribing how much. Whatever is commanded by the God of heaven, let it be done in full for the house of the God of heaven, lest his wrath be against the realm of the king and his sons. We also notify you that it shall not be lawful to impose tribute, custom, or toll upon any one of the priests, the Levites, the singers, the doorkeepers, the temple servants, or other servants of the house of God. So, that's a big mouthful to basically say Ezra has carte blanche to take his people back, to do whatever he wants, and the king is paying for it, which clearly makes Ezra a very powerful man in this return. So, not unsurprisingly, as the social structure of the New Jerusalem is reorganized to accommodate current climate, Ezra finds himself at the top, because he's the one with the connections, the money, the power, the knowledge of the law. He is equipped to serve as high priest. So we see through Ezra the priesthood once again establishing ranking as top class, but also we see a strong emergence as well of experts of the law, scribes. And so now we have 2 different types of or classes of people who happen to be joined in Ezra, and we'll see in just a moment that everybody gets a share, and that'll create some interesting class structures that lead to maybe a little bit of tension moving forward about who should really be in charge. And you, Ezra, according to the wisdom of your God, which is in your hand, appoint magistrates and judges who may judge all the people in the province beyond the river, all such as know the laws of your God. And those who do not know them you shall teach. Whoever will not obey the law of your God and the law of the king, let judgment be strictly executed upon him, whether for death or for banishment, or for confiscation of his goods, or for imprisonment. So, Ezra is given the command to appoint magistrates. He's appointing a new ruling class, and the condition is that they have to know the law. Do the priests know the law? Not all of them, and not necessarily. All they actually need to know to be priests is it takes this many cows to kill to atone for this. It's all in the book of Leviticus. It's not that hard. This is a drink offering, a wave offering, a cereal offering. They know about liturgy. They do not necessarily know theology, morality, or law. They are experts in one very tiny part of the society. And of course, if they were able to ensure the compliance of the people with the law, there wouldn't have been an exile to begin with. The priesthood has failed the people. And so coming back, nobody is very interested in returning to the way things were. Of course, the kings failed the people more. Now there is no king, but the priesthood has also lost most of its influence. And so we see a new emerging class that gains its authority and its power from the religious tradition, but that is not priests, the scribes. And because they're not priests, there's also an interesting thing moving forward. You still need priests to follow the law. So you end up with a legal class who are experts in the law, and you additionally have to have the need for priests. This division serves, as we'll see more in our next lesson, as the foundation of the distinction between Pharisees and Sadducees. Although it takes a little bit more development and some thinning of some of these classes before we get to the time of Jesus. This is the framework that leads to having experts in the law who are not necessarily priests, but are religious leaders, and priests who don't necessarily know that much about the law, who are also religious leaders. We have two ruling religious classes in Jerusalem at this time, which is an odd thing and not something we really compete with that much in our world today. But it's an interesting thing to think about, and you can probably predict how well it's going to work. This has been a summary of Lesson 22 of the Turning to God's Word Bible Study, the letter to the Hebrews, an explanation of the mechanism of our salvation. For more information, consult our written study or visit our online forums at turningtogodsword.com.